Hello, I'm Jane Dutton. Crowning this week was this news.
This is Eyewitness News.
South African comedian Trevor Noah becomes the first African and black person to make history by winning an Emmy Awards for his The Daily Show.
This story has been so long, it's been so crazy, it's been so wonderful. I start by thanking the crazy Africans who followed me to this country. David Kibuka, Joseph Opio, thank you so much. David Meyer, my partner in crime, and then the writers in the team, Roy Wood Jr. from the very beginning.
As we head into the election season, some are asking, is Jacob Zuma even eligible to contest the election due to his criminal record?
This weekend, we'll see former President Jacob Zuma attempting to break away from criticism that is nothing more than a tribalist seeking to disrupt the ANC across Zulu-speaking regions in the country. However, his planned visit to Limpopo has already been met with some resistance, mostly by the families of two former MK combatants. Both Collins Chabane and Dambuza's loved ones are calling on supporters to rally behind the ANC. Chairperson of his foundation, Professor Mushe Nkondo, says it's alarming to hear Zuma wants to use the memory of Chabane to further the agenda of a splinter party.
Because that's a violation of Collins Chabane's entire legacy, which cannot be defined outside the discipline of the ANC.
CD Madia, Eyewitness News.
Cars washed away and homes flooded. People losing their lives. An all too familiar scene in KZN. Extreme weather hit the province again this week. So what is going on?
Floods are arguably one of the most visible signs of climate change, according to the Institute for Security Studies. KwaZulu-Natal has consistently been hit by devastating floods, which have caused damage to infrastructure, loss of life, injury, and displacement. 2023's festive period brought another wave of torrential rains, prompting floods, with Ladysmith and eThekwini the hardest hit. At the moment, at least 64 people have lost their lives in the province since December due to inclement weather.
They are all related to the inclement weather, but they're not just only people that were washed away by the heavy rains. Some were struck by lightning. Some they met the disaster while they were on the road. In fact, majority of those people. Some their cars were washed away while trying to cross the rivers. So as the rain continues, we are still responding to the disaster incidents. There is quite a number of public infrastructure that has also been damaged, such as roads, bridges. So different municipalities are currently responding to that, trying to repair those public infrastructure to make sure that all the areas are accessible.
But what is the cause? Is it climate change, spatial planning, or a lack thereof? KZN Kokta says that although the government has a responsibility to ensure they deliver these warnings, it's important for residents to adhere to safety tips to reduce loss of life.
I think some of those incidents have been captured through videos, and some are circulating on social network, where you see people driving through the flooded bridges, and we have lost life because of such behavior. We do encourage people to take the safety measures in place. When we advise people try not to travel when it's raining, because we know the danger. It poses a serious risk when you're traveling in the car and you drive through a flooded bridge. You don't even know how deep and the power of the water. So it puts you in a very it poses a life-threatening. It is a life-threatening incident. We've also experienced a number of drownings within the province as part of the numbers that I've mentioned earlier on. People, they just go and swim in the dams and rivers, which it's very dangerous as well. So we urge people to cooperate, work together with us to ensure the safety of everyone. Those who have kids, make sure you look after your kids. Don't try to cross swollen streams and rivers.
The horror of her alleged deeds and the question over her flight risk status has been discussed at the Mabato Magistrates Court. Tsegemutsi Setshwantsho is accused of murdering her family members for financial gain.
Taken into consideration all of the above, this court is satisfied that the accused is not a suitable candidate to be released on bail, and bail is accordingly refused.
have been cheers of joy and jubilation in the Mabato Magistrates Court today, where Sekgomotsi Setshwantsho was denied bail. The 49-year-old has spent weeks in this very court arguing that there are exceptional circumstances warranting her bail. However, we heard today from Magistrate Dwayne Spandil that there are no exceptional circumstances as he addressed each point that the defense made. The cheers came from family members and the community who've been attending this case every court appearance, calling for Setshwantsho to be denied bail. Her niece, who Setshwantsho also had a life insurance cover for 2 million rand, has spoken out about how she was living in fear, knowing that there is a possibility that Setshwantsho may be released.
Le nou yana ke tsogile ke na le boitumelonyana gore ha fiwa beile mare gape ke a tshoga ke na le tshogo gore ha nna filwe beile ne ke sa tla go phela sentle tla phela ka letshogo fela.
Bonolo Modise-Mang's husband, Tebogo, has also spoken out. He couldn't hide his joy and jubilation as Setshwantsho will remain behind bars for the duration of her trial.
Maikutlo a ka ke itumetse go bua nnete. Mora ha o ka ba mogana ka beile re tla go senga ka di 28 tsa March ene gape ke ile ka utlwisa botlhoko ke go utlwa ha go ntse go bua gore o ile a kry-a 3 million for mosadi wa ka ke yone go tlositse botlhoko thata gore yang.
The matter has been postponed to March this year for further investigation. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News in Mahikeng.
All eyes on the Africa Cup of Nations this week. If Bafana beat Namibia on Sunday, we have a chance of making it through to the knockout stage.
Bafana must brush off the disappointment of losing to Mali in their Africa Cup of Nations opener and regroup ahead of Sunday's game against neighbours Namibia. The South Africans failed to make the most of their opportunities in that first fixture, and missed chances meant they were unable to assert their early dominance. There's a lot at stake in the upcoming encounter. A win for Namibia will see them virtually guarantee themselves a place in the knockout stages of the competition for the first time in their history, while Bafana need to win to maintain control of their destiny with one group game against Tunisia left to play. A loss or a draw will mean that the 1996 champions will have to rely on other teams to do them a favour and for results to go their way if they are to progress any further. Kickoff on Sunday is at 10 p.m. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
Probably a day no student will ever forget, the day they received their matric results, something that could dramatically change the trajectory of their lives.
Fantastic.
How are you feeling?
Relieved.
Amazing. One word.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
This is how well students fared.
Well, I'm delighted with the 2023 matriculants. They have made us proud as a nation. And I guess they've also made themselves proud. This is a historic achievement ever since the dawn of democracy in our country and indeed in the history of South Africa.
AI, global leadership, or lack of, and the Gaza war. Some of the issues tackled at the 54th World Economic Forum in Davos, which ends today. South Africa was represented by 5 ministers, 2 of them accused of corruption. So what did we achieve that we needed to?
So talks at the World Economic Forum all come down to globalization, often the buzzword when you see a meeting of global elites of this nature. And what global leaders have been preoccupied by this time around are talks about how to manage the implications of war. 2 big ones at the moment, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the more recent war in Gaza by Israel. Now, the fragmentation across the globe easily made this one of the most complicated meetings. That, coupled with an even more complicated global economic environment, meant that the heads of state, bankers, business moguls, and policymakers had their work cut out for them. Now, bear in mind that ensuring that there's global security and cooperation is in the best interests of all the countries. If you think of, for example, the Russia-Ukraine war and how it pushed up the oil prices, which then for us meant higher fuel prices, then of course there was the increase in food prices with staples such as your rice, your wheat, your maize, all seeing massive price jumps impacting trade. Now, closer to home, though, the South African delegation had the tough job of making the country's investment case. It's well documented that SA has a range of structural issues: the chronic energy crisis, now the logistics crisis, and then crime and corruption. All of these have an impact on how SA is able to draw in much-needed foreign direct investment. And while Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana admitted to these issues in Davos, he assured investors that the challenges are being addressed. The message, simply put, is that SA, Africa's most industrialized and diversified economy, is open for business. Now, investor confidence certainly also requires a degree of policy certainty, which is also a massive selling point for the SA delegation as we head into the national elections later in the year. Overall, this year's WEF has been described as successful. Nogukhanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
And that's it. Remember to like and subscribe.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.